Works. Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025, and you are at the City of Wausau Parks and Recreation Committee of the City of Wausau meeting. The first item up for the agenda is public comment, and I see we don't have any public comment. Oh, we have two? Okay, Ms. Polly, go ahead.
Thank you. So we don't have anybody actually in the audience for public comment, but I did have two emails I wanted to share from the public about two different topics, nothing to be discussed at the moment, but we had one come in that I don't know if everybody got on the committee regarding signage at the riverfront, but I wanted to share that too. I talked with our city attorney and Chair Larson about it as well. So the first one I just wanted to share as a public comment was an email that we received, our city forester received it from a resident on North 14th Avenue that is a resident who applied for one of our grants through the big grant that we received to help residents remove emerald ash borer infested trees on private property. And this was our first one. Our Foley's Tree Service has been out doing a couple of them for us, but this was our first one. And just, this was a really nice email I wanted to share. And it says, "Hi, John, I just wanted to let you know that our trees are cut down today, and we are very impressed with the crew of Foley's Tree Service. They work diligently, efficiently, and safely to cut the trees in our yard. We feel that they are a great choice to perform the work. We also want to thank you and your staff for securing the grant for this project, as we weren't sure how we would have been able to do the work being on a fixed income. We are so thankful. Again, thank you for your part in this project." So I wanted to share that. It's nice when people take the time to send a nice email. And then the second one that came through to multiple staff members of mine, I know Chair Larson got it, I received it through a couple of different channels. But it was an email that, because she had sent it out so many channels, is why we reached out to the city attorney about sharing it. But public comment, it says, "Good afternoon. I would like to address something the community has been concerned about. Recently, a 16-year-old boy drowned in the Wisconsin River along the river walkway and Wausau on the water. Many members of the community, including myself, asked that the Parks and Recreation Committee install a no swimming sign or multiple. The community wants to protect the citizens who enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Wisconsin River, and we want to prevent a tragedy like this from happening again." So I'm sharing that, and with that, because it's just for public comment, we're not discussing it today, but I wanted to share it because it has been this request, and I know there's been some comments on Facebook and stuff like that, but our city attorney will be working on a statement of what the city is liable and not liable for different things, including signage, and throw buoys is something we had discussed years ago at Oak Island. So we'll be bringing that back as well. And she'll provide the committee with our options and what is recreational immunity, what's not. We may want to talk about just the docks in general at that point, but I do have it as a future agenda item on the agenda for recreational immunity that she'll be preparing. So just that we will respond to this resident, but more to come on it. We just don't, for one, the case is not closed yet, so we don't have all the information in order to bring it to you today as far as that particular incident and whether or not signage or anything would have changed the outcome of that. But once we have all that information, our city attorney will put that together.
Thank you, Jamie. Item number 2, approval of the minutes of the May 5th, 2024 meeting. Is there any additions or corrections that need to be addressed? If not,
I'll
then
move to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes by Alder Rasmussen. Do I have a second by Alder Lukens? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. Item 3, discussion and possible action on operations of River Life concession stand. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you. I put this on because I did send out an email to all of you, I guess 2 weeks ago maybe, to try to see if there was anything we wanted to do immediately. And it was just the time frame and everything in working through it with our city attorney and kind of what we could put out there didn't really work to hold a special meeting at that time. So I thought I'll just bring it to you here. I did get a couple of different comments. I know that I had each of you respond to me individually because we didn't have a meeting posted. So comments I had that I wanted to just bring forward tonight and talk about what our options might be going forward. And I did put that in the agenda summary. So my staff and I had, when we sent out that original email to the Parks Committee, we had a number of options on there, and we talked about a lot of them. But knowing what the time frame we are at in the summer, it's June 1st already. Even 2 weeks ago, or mid-May, we're still in the process of hiring our staff for the summer to fill the positions that we knew about and that we had and that we're obligated to do, like the pools. So, one of the options of us running it is still possibly an option, but with that, we still need to hire more staff. We need to fill our other positions first. And then the concession building, just for anybody to come in, doesn't have any equipment at this time, so some would have to be purchased or rented. But when I reached out to each of you, I did have a couple of you say to do nothing for 2025, just because of how late we are in the season. We could potentially do a couple of special events down there throughout the summer, or if we have food trucks that reach out to us that wanted to, come down there for a day. We had talked about doing a regular schedule of food trucks, but also too late in the season. Many of them were busy. It was harder to get a calendar together so that we could advertise it to the community. It would be more of like a pop-up event, which is possible. But we do plan for sure of putting out a new RFP later this summer for the 2026 and beyond. And hopefully by that time, our vendor that was going to be in there will know their situation as well. And if they're able, they can put in a new proposal along with that. Or we might have, since this came out in the paper, since I announced it at our last meeting, I had 4 different people reach out to me with different ideas who didn't put proposals in. Some of them, one is a short term, one is a corporate concessionaire that does this around the country, and I didn't get more detail from them. It was just the voicemail I received. One was possibly doing a temporary business there, which also would take, infrastructure and stuff to put in. So I've only talked to 2 of these 4 in person. The other ones I was waiting to kind of get direction on to provide input on whether or not, yes, you can put in a proposal, let's see what it's like, or here's our proposal is going to come out later this summer. We encourage you to put something in for the next year, and do the walkthrough. So I just wanted to open it back up. We did also look into the vending machine. If ice cream or something like that is very important to have down there for the summer, then we could purchase an ice cream machine from a vendor. We would have to purchase it and restock it because the vending companies that do this said that they wouldn't restock it because they're too far away. But there's other vending machines around, so I'm not really understanding that. I can follow up on that. But it would be a used one we could purchase for around $3,000. A new one would be around $8,000, and then staff time to stock it and stuff. But that is something, if we did purchase it, we could move it after this summer. We could have it at different locations, like our sports complex or athletic park, or maybe not athletic park with their concessions open, but different places like that if we wanted to. So that's kind of the options I had put out there. And like I said, 2 I had heard from do nothing. One was supportive of an RFP for the short term. Let's see. And then I wrote down each of your things. Now, where did I put them? Do nothing, short RFP, which support short RFP. So it's 2 and 2. That's why I decided to put it back on. To do the RFP, just a short-term RFP for this year, get it out there. And then 2, do nothing. And then I didn't hear from the 5th one. So I guess you're the tiebreaker. So I just wanted to open up for discussion, a little bit more direction on what you would like me to do with that stand for this year. And then for sure, we'll move into next year as we had planned.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Polly. Any Ms. Elder Rasmussen.
Thank you. So I was likely the person that was supportive of a short-term RFP, only because I think, and I don't think it needs to be the full services, and I'm also not committed to a need that we must have ice cream down there this year. I think it's important to have it in the future. We've had it in the past, it was very popular, but I would like to see us have at least some offerings down there, and I'm thinking, or was thinking, packaged snacks, drinks, soda, water, similar to the offerings that we have at the pools, similar to the things that we have offered. We do our own concession at Sylvan, at the Junction. It doesn't have to be a large operation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be every day. I think that it would be reasonable if you pick the busiest days for that park use. So if it would need to be like maybe the weekend or whatever days that the foot traffic is the greatest, where somebody would like to be able to buy a drink, buy a snack, but it doesn't have to be anything that requires a huge undertaking in terms of infrastructure and refrigeration. If it needs to be, packaged snacks this year and drinks where you could get by with a couple beverage coolers. That really, just so you have something there, especially for parents that bring little kids that want to buy a bottle of water or want to buy a Gatorade or something that, they perhaps forgot. I don't think it has to be super expensive, and certainly not every day. I also think that, if we wanted to entertain the idea of food trucks down there, I think starting that as a pop-up, like you started the pop-up splash pad, where everyone knows that it's going to be this day and this day. And, if food trucks are available, come on over and operate. They all are responsible for their own operations anyway, just like they are when they occupy 4th Street on Wednesday night. And so, I think that to see what the interest might be, just to gauge the popularity, but I don't think I would commit a staff person to try to schedule truck vendors. Because I think that's, first, they're busy, it's their peak season, and it's a Herculean job for someone to try to do in June. So, if you get a couple pop-ups this summer and see how people like that, I think once we get to a point where more people are living in that area, they might appreciate that pop-up in terms of being close to their homes. So it doesn't have to be now, but, I do think we should at least have a little something selling out of that building, if we can get there. Even if we can staff it part-time. So that's just my 2 cents.
Anybody else? I guess I would be in favor of that. I would even be in favor of food trucks, having food trucks down there, then wouldn't have to worry about staffing something, but if yeah. So what's the consensus, people? Come on.
Well, I think we should do our best to do something, just to show that we're making an effort and not just having the building there empty. My comment was basically do nothing until next year or plan for next year. But if there's something, a stopgap like food truck pop-up type, program, on X number of days or whatever, and let's make it as easy and as lax as possible for the vendors so they don't have to jump through hoops. Maybe have a lottery system, to make it fair. I don't know. But it sure would be nice to say that we've got something going on down there. Secondly, then, a vending machine at least is something. So, and it's also an asset that, we would maintain and can, repurpose elsewhere a variety of ways. So it might be a good investment.
I guess the only issue I would have with the vending machine if it were outside and vandalism. I guess I would be in favor of a pop-up of food trucks and such, and even a short-term RFP.
Well, and I guess if we could narrow the parameters of that RFP too, where it doesn't have to be the full-blown ice cream, cooked foods, whatever. If somebody would come in and do like packaged snacks and drinks, just to get it started. If that would take the strain off of your staff for having to staff it yourself, if someone could come in and, offer that as a, perhaps a companion operation to an existing business or, something short-term. I was just thinking like bagged snacks and packaged beverage type situation where there doesn't need to be any prep. It's just strictly retail, much like concessions, like concessions at ballparks and things. We don't need people cooking in that. So
Would you need a motion on that then, or just take that as a direction?
Yeah, I think if that's, I think if that's the consensus, to just try to do that and work on what we can with either staffing or putting out I can send out a request to these four to see if that's something they'd be interested in for just this summer. And if that's what the consensus is, then that's direction I'll move forward with. If I put out something and I don't get anybody and, we're having trouble staffing it, I'll keep you informed as to what's happening. But I think scheduling a couple food trucks throughout the summer is probably the easiest. Doing a regular schedule of food trucks and try to have them is where we were, struggling with who's going to do that, because it is our busy season. We're trying to get the pools up and running and all of our programs and stuff like that. So, but to try to do a couple, I think is something we can do.
Okay. Then on to item number 4, educational items.
Yeah, so I wanted to give a quick update on we have even more since I put this packet together, but I'll share on the TV. If you haven't gone past Oak Island Park today, our skate park ramps that are precast ahead of time have been delivered. So we have, let's see. I'll show you a few pictures. I don't have to show you all of these, but, oh, it's on my screen.
I see it.
Yeah, you can see it. Guess I got to move each one over. So there is a picture I just took right before this meeting of, this is kind of the center section to the west. So we have this extra peninsula that I can pass this around. You can just kind of see this is the new skate park and kind of what's going where. But that's the plan. So you can see they brought in 3 truckloads today of ramps, and I guess I can move this back to my own screen since we get somehow. But it's exciting to see. So here's the crane lifting one of the quarter pipes down this morning. The crane was massive, so you can see how big it was. There's one of the semi trucks. This was this morning at about 9 o'clock. The second truckload that came in, and they set them in place. So park from the east. This is the full park. So that's not the full park. There's a whole, you can see on the corner, there's going to be a whole corner ramp section. That'll actually be poured in place. So now they had this all set up. They had it marked where everyone went, every place went, and they have it leveled. So now what they'll be working on is the pieces that have to be poured in place. So they'll be framing those up over the next couple weeks, pouring those, and then they'll tie everything together by pouring the flat work of the phase 1. And then my crew will come in and do the flat work that's to the west. So from the end of that ramp there that you see, everything to the west we'll do flat work on, and then the old ramps will get put onto that flat work, and we'll be updating some of those ramps. That's our phase 2. So phase 1 is by the contractor and underway. They said about 4 weeks for this, so we're hoping by July 1st, phase 1 we'll be able to have like a soft opening, and then we'll announce when we'll be able to do phase 2.
So we're refurbishing some of the old stuff, but then mainly new stuff, it looks like, from your map here.
We are actually refurbishing all of the old stuff,
Okay.
and that will go on the western side, and then the whole eastern side is brand new.
It's brand new.
Yep.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Yep,
Very nice.
yep. So this is that west peninsula as it jets out. That's a new section that we didn't have before. Before we just had the square blacktop. Now it's the square blacktop with this peninsula, I guess, runway that goes out to the west towards the lake. So yeah, that's exciting news today. What else is next? Oh, so then in your packet are all the other updates. We did a lot at Athletic Park to get it ready for the woodchucks to begin, which they began last week. Clubhouse has been renovated, so new ADA restrooms in there. I'll take this off. New ADA restrooms in there, showers, couple new lockers to be able to do both teams, the woodchucks and the Ignite. Added some areas so they can take their cleats off before they come in, and new carpeting, new flooring, so it looks really nice in there. And they are up and running. First Ignite game It's either June 7th or June 20th. Like, or June, maybe it's the 10th. Yeah. Maybe, we'll go with the 10th.
They made announcements
Yeah.
at the woodchuck opening, and I thought they said the 10th.
I think I think that sounds right. Sometime in June, coming soon, so watch for that. Alexander Airport Pickleball Court, if you've been in the southeast side neighborhood, you'll see that it's been paved, fences under construction. Then it needs to be painted and sit for 30 days, so then it can be open. So it's kind of a long process to put these pickleball courts in with the painting of it and everything, but we are well underway and still on track for that. Brockmeyer Park, we repaired the leak for the restroom. That was the last restroom we had to open, and of course, that's one of our most busiest playgrounds. But it was a break in the actual line under the concrete, so we got that fixed, up and running. And we did find there was a leak in the splash pad. We have it isolated. So there's one feature that doesn't have water to it, but it's a very minor feature, and so the other water around it kind of fills it in, and really don't know. So that has some major work if we want to fix it. It's got a 90-degree elbow in it under the concrete, so it means removing some concrete. So we're trying to do some creative things, but it won't be noticeable, I don't believe. Youth baseball is in full swing. All shelters are up and running. Restrooms are open and clean. So we're full on summer right now. And flower baskets you may have seen are all installed. We got all docks in, looking at irrigation. The Woodson kayak statue is up and going as of Friday. We found what the problem was there, so we have 4 of the 5 pipes open and operating. It's actually probably working better than it's ever worked right now. But that 5th line, we've got to see where that break is inside the statue. So it's inside that concrete. We got to try to see where that is. And then 400 block fountain, we installed the activator, or it's being installed right now. And that will be that it's not running constantly just because that water is going right down the drain. So that's where we saw a significant increase in price when the water rates increased. Then with this activator, anybody who's down there can activate it and use it when they're there, and it's turned off when nobody's there. So,
Nice.
yep, so that is my update there.
The pools?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to talk about is the City Hall trees and landscaping. So I got a statement from John Kayan, so that's why I added it, because he wanted to bring it to your attention. It's nothing that we need action on, but we just wanted to let you know what's going on these grounds, because you're here often and you can see some of the issues that we're having on this block. But the trees around the City Hall block were all assessed. 8 trees are in very poor condition and want removal and replacement. So you can kind of see, just like even outside the window, we've got a significant dieback on this tree. This trunk is twisted. We've got some issues. So we've gone around there. 6 additional trees are in fair condition, and recommendation is just to prune them and retain them in the short term, so we're not taking all the trees down. So we'll be doing some pruning, and then we'll be doing some planting as well. All these trees are Norway maple. So the ones that are in fair condition that we'll be pruning are the maple trees that we'll be working on. These trees are being affected by difficult growing sites coupled with high amounts of salt, which is where we're having the issues on. You can see on the side of the sidewalk, we've got like a foot on each side of the sidewalk where there's bare dirt from, we don't do this block. This is done by a contractor. And each year we work with engineering because it's not engineering, it's Eric oversees the building maintenance, so it's building maintenance staff and us try to work to get the contractor to stay on the sidewalk. Otherwise, we come in and fix it, and we're working on it. So you'll see that, but the excess of salt is what's affecting a lot of the trees. There are 2 newly planted elm trees that have also been adversely affected by the salt. We'll retain these trees and allow them time to try to recover. But new tree species will be selected that are listed as salt tolerant, and that's what we'll be planting back in this block. He wanted me to also just mention that just in general, urban Norway maples, which is what we've got on this block, across the U.S. are showing significant decline. Studies have not identified the cause yet, but soil condition, girdling roots, salts, and others are to be factors of the decline. Our Wausau Norway maple population is in significant decline, and we remove many each year. We are not planting any new Norways, so just more for your information. So that is just an informational about if you see our crews, knowing that we're talking trees and we're talking about retaining, pruning, planting. This block is going to be something we're really going to work on, and you'll see that and trying to stay ahead of it. So. And then the last update is the pool update, which I put also in your packet. Pools better be filled and chemicals balanced because they open this weekend. So, and they're not all three opening. So that's where something that's a little new. We have every year a request, for the pools to be open longer, and we typically lose staff or have to fight for minimal staff. So this year, before we even hired staff and set the schedule, we're trying something new where Memorial and Schulenburg are going to open for the season this weekend. Kaiser's usually the first one open, but because of Kaiser's location, we're going to have that one, we're opening that one a week later, and we're going to have it open a week longer than any of the other pools. So Kaiser will end up to be open through Sunday, August 17th, which is the longest we've ever had the pools open. So hopefully we have hot weather that it warrants it. But that is a staggering start, so it doesn't add any more staffing costs to us or anything like that. They're all open the same amount of weeks they've always been open. We're just staggering it a little bit. Hours will be 12:15 to 7. Lessons will run in the morning before that. Memorial will close for the season on the 9th, Schulenburg on the 10th, and Kaiser the 17th. During the time, though, when Kaiser is closed for this first week, we're holding a lot of trainings, guard trainings, swimming lessons trainings. And then we are sticking to the same schedule we've had in the last couple of years, where I believe it's Memorial's closed on Mondays, Schulenburg's on Tuesdays, and Kaiser's on Wednesdays, or I might have those two mixed up. But on those days of the one day a week when we have one pool closed, that's when we have swimming lessons there. So we're still utilizing the pools. We're just trying to, and we've been able to increase swimming lessons by doing that because then we have a dedicated pool. We don't have to rush out when the public comes in. So that is the plan. We do have quite a few lifeguards. We are still looking for a few more, but as I put in here, we've got staff that can train lifeguards, so we held 3 lifeguard classes this spring for 20 new lifeguards with quite a few returning. We have one more lifeguard class that will run this next week. That's filled with 10 guards that will all be working for us, so hopefully they all pass and we'll be in pretty good shape with staffing wise. So that's what I got for updates.
Alder Lukens.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie, for the update. Thank you also for your creativity in staggering those, because I think, that'll be nice. That we'll have the pools open a little longer, or the pool, I should say, and earlier, a little bit longer altogether. The other thing, I was at a game, a baseball game for my grandson at Oak Island last week, and we walked over to the bathroom, and that's like a new bathroom there. Wow, it's really nice. I was like, wow, this is a really nice bathroom. I don't have to tell Jamie, but I was really proud of all of you, so thank you. It's really nice.
Thank you. And one thing we're doing with the bathroom is the one thing that bothers me a lot is the signs that we put on the bathrooms for the short term that they are taped to the doors. We have a brand new bathroom with horrible tape on it. So I'll let you know that those signs are ordered. We got permanent signs, and they're able to actually flip down that says they're closed for the season, or you flip them up that just says they're men's and women. So we're doing that both at Oak Island, DC Evers Park with our new bathroom, and River Life, where we have signs taped that I hate tape. So I'm on my staff to make sure we look professional and we have new stuff. So yeah, they are nice.
No more Walmart bathrooms, huh? Okay. Anybody else have any comment? Then we'll go on to item number 5, future agenda items. I know we've already discussed one,
I don't have any other ones.
and then there isn't any more. Then on to item 6 next.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr.
Just
Neal.
want to add a a heads up, that this might be for a future agenda item. I did speak with Alder Henke, who chairs the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee, about our discussion. He was very interested to our discussion about boulevard trees and road construction projects and how we might look at better practices. So that is going to be agendized, and I anticipate maybe even some ability to have some synergy between this committee and that committee as we go forward, implementing new strategies to save some trees, and just to keep this in the forefront. I wouldn't like it to just kind of go to the back burner.
All right. Thank you, Alder Neal. Any other comment? Then we'll go on to item number 6, and next meeting, Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 5:15, council chambers. And on to item number 7.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Alder Watson,
I'll second.
second by Alder Rasmussen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a little bit, I guess.